Well, 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 they're watching you now. The way people watch breaking news. Phones glowing in dark rooms, heads tilted, breath held, updates refreshing like their sanity depends on it. Funny, isn't it? The same people who once glanced past you like you were background noise now can't sleep without checking what you're doing next. They pretend it's curiosity, but curiosity doesn't come with jealousy hidden under the tongue. Curiosity doesn't panic when you keep winning. This is something deeper, something they don't have a name for yet. You didn't force their attention, you earned it. Quietly, consistently, step by step while they scrolled, complained, underestimated. You moved with intention when no one was looking, and now suddenly everyone's looking. Their timeline feels empty if you're not there. Their confidence feels fragile if your progress shows up. Every time you rise, something inside them shakes, not because you're trying to make them feel small, but because you proved that growth was always possible, even when they convinced themselves it wasn't. They once thought you were predictable, a story written before it started, someone whose dreams would crack under pressure like everyone else. But pressure did something different to you. It sharpened you. It aligned you. It turned hesitation into discipline. It's not arrogance, it's evidence. Evidence that you've survived your own storms and came back without needing applause. Look at the way they adjust around you now, the way their posture changes when you enter the room, the way their conversations soften when you get close. You became a reminder that excuses are flimsy, that comfort zones are cages, that there is no guarantee tomorrow will be kinder if you stay the same today. They don't fear you, they fear what you represent. Possibility, they analyze you like a riddle. What changed? Who helped them? How did they do it? They zoom in, they screenshot, they speculate, as if success must be sponsored by some invisible force, as if dedication is too unrealistic to explain results. But you know the truth. You stopped waiting for permission. You stopped shrinking to fit their expectations. When doubt came knocking, you didn't answer. You kept building, even when they laughed, even when they whispered, even when support was nothing more than silence pretending to be neutral. You can feel their reactions now. Admiration dressed as confusion. Envy disguised as jokes. Fascination tucked behind casual scrolling. They track your progress like a stock chart that threatens to rise beyond their reach. They refresh because they're terrified. They missed something. They refresh because you've become proof that resilience is real. Some of them try to copy you, your tone, your timing, your style. They mimic the moves but skip the mindset. Because what you built wasn't aesthetics. It was alignment. They can borrow your look, but they can't steal the discipline behind it. They think success is a costume you learned. It's a consequence. Notice how old faces reappear when results do. They send friendly messages wrapped in nostalgia. They speak like they always believed in you, as if their absence was just a misunderstanding. But you're not bitter, you're aware. You read energy now, not excuses. You understand that not everyone who claps is cheering. Some clap to match the room, hoping no one notices their regret. That's the beauty of your evolution. You don't need validation anymore. Attention arrives naturally because you no longer chase it. You outgrew the hunger for approval. You don't measure your worth by applause or engagement. You measure it by alignment, by the peace that comes from knowing you stayed true when doubt tried to edit your identity. You became the quiet center of the storm, the still point everyone orbits trying to decode. They don't see confrontation in your eyes. They see clarity, and clarity, to those who live in confusion, feels like a threat. They mistake your calm for superiority because they've only experienced confidence as noise. But you're not louder, you're clearer. And clarity always wins. Your presence changed the conversation where you once blended in. Now the room adjusts, decisions shift, tones soften, eyes observe more than they judge. That isn't ego, that's influence. Influence built not from dominance, but from self-control. You learn to move without announcing, to grow without broadcasting, to elevate without asking who's watching, and that's what unsettles them most. You rose before they could take credit for it. Some nights you feel it, that invisible spotlight following you, people thinking you have secrets they weren't smart enough to uncover. They invent stories to make your success make sense. Must be luck, must be connections, must be timing, because the alternative, that you simply worked harder, threatens their comfort too deeply. But you don't correct them, you let them wonder. Confusion is part of the lesson. You see, your rise isn't meant to be entertainment. It's a demonstration, a living blueprint that shows what happens when someone stops negotiating with fear. The quiet hours you spent building, they echo loudly now, the sacrifices. They shine disguised as talent, the self-belief. It radiates like sunlight breaking through a closed room. And the most fascinating part, you're not even close to finished. You're still warming up, still refining, still learning how high your spirit can stretch without snapping. They're calling this the climax of your story, while you're busy writing the introduction. Give it time. They'll soon realize that they weren't watching your victory. They were watching your becoming. Let them stay glued to the screen. Let them speculate, admire, imitate. You don't need to explain anything. You don't need to perform for their expectations. Keep moving with the same quiet flame that brought you here. Keep choosing alignment over applause, discipline over drama, elevation over explanation. Because the truth is simple. You didn't rise to be admired. You rose to be free. And now, the world adjusts to you. And still, you walk like none of this noise reaches your bones. You've learned how to move forward without announcing a destination. You don't rush, you glide. You're not driven by urgency, you're guided by purpose. The difference is subtle but monumental. Urgency begs for attention. Purpose commands it. You don't need to scream to be heard. Your silence has become a language their insecurity can't translate. They're studying you, trying to decode how you turned every doubt into momentum. They search for the moment everything changed, unaware that transformation doesn't start in spectacle. It starts in shadows, in late nights and quiet mornings. In private decisions made without witnesses. Growth happens long before the world notices the symptoms. They only saw the reveal. They missed the rebuilding. Now every move you make feels intentional. Every step looks like strategy. But you're not playing for applause. You're protecting peace. That confuses the ones who depend on chaos to feel alive. They expect you to chase clout, to crave spotlight, to measure worth by volume. But you don't perform progress, you embody it. They can't understand how someone becomes a phenomenon without theatrics. You want to laugh sometimes at how predictable their shock is. They spent years ignoring you, underestimating you, categorizing you as harmless ambition. But harmless ambition doesn't survive storms. Harmless ambition doesn't outgrow environments built to limit it. Harmless ambition doesn't evolve into presence. Know your presence is the event. There's a new tension in the way they speak to you, like they're afraid of saying the wrong thing. Afraid you'll hear the jealousy pressed beneath their words, and you do hear it. You hear everything now. Subtext is louder than voice. Intent outweighs tone. The compliments that congratulate, while hoping you fail mid-sentence, you recognize those instantly, but you don't react. Because you don't navigate by emotion anymore. You navigate by awareness, and that awareness Oh, it's powerful. It has turned you into a walking realization. You force accountability just by existing. Every time you show up, someone questions what they're doing with their own potential. They wonder where their time went. They wonder what excuses they justified. They wonder how you kept going while they kept delaying. They don't envy your success. They envy your discipline. They envy that you kept believing in yourself long after they stopped believing in their own ambitions. They envy that you didn't need an audience to grow. They envy that you found a way to be unstoppable without asking them for directions. And so, they watch. They watch because watching you is easier than fixing themselves. They scroll because scrolling is easier than trying. They stare because staring is easier than changing. Every notification you drop feels like a reminder that every day they waited for motivation. You were busy. You didn't need their approval, but they needed your example. And now that example has become a mirror they can't escape, a mirror that reflects everything they could have been had they listened to their dreams instead of their doubts. They used to say you were unrealistic. Now they call you inspiring. They used to roll their eyes. Now they replay your moves like tutorials. They used to judge. Now they study. Success flips perception faster than any speech could. But don't be fooled. Admiration is not always pure. Sometimes it's wrapped in comparison. Sometimes it's tinted with panic. Because your rise proves that limitation wasn't a wall. It was a mindset. And some people would rather resent you than admit they placed themselves in a cage. Their fear isn't that you'll go too far. Their fear is that you already have. Meanwhile, you remain composed. There is no bragging, no loud celebration. You don't need to broadcast every breakthrough. You live the breakthrough. You carry transformation like a heartbeat. Quiet rhythms powering unstoppable motion. Others chase noise. You cultivate signal. They want attention. You want alignment. They perform confidence. You radiate it, and that difference, that terrifying, undeniable difference, is why they can't look away. Listen closely. Fame isn't numbers. It's impact. It's the weight of your existence changing the atmosphere around you. It's the shift in someone's soul when they realize that every excuse they made has been shattered by your example. You didn't force a narrative, you became one. Life is the storyline they binge. Watch without admitting it. Every milestone is an episode. Every move is a cliffhanger. Every silence is suspense. They think they're spectators, but deep down they're students. You're teaching them what's possible. And learning, especially the self-reflective kind, is uncomfortable, so they pretend they're critics instead. Criticizing feels safer than evolving, but you don't even hear them anymore. Their opinions operate at a volume you no longer register. You've climbed too high for their echoes to reach. You've grown too focused for their projections to distract. Your mind is busy building things they once said were impossible. It's strange, isn't it? How success changes what your existence means to others. You didn't ask for influence, but influence arrived anyway. Not because you demanded it, but because you embodied what people secretly wish they could become. You are the proof they denied existed. They measure their days against your achievements. Now, they compare their procrastination to your progress. They wonder why they're stuck while you're flowing. They want to call it luck. They want to call it privilege. They want to call it anything that prevents them from admitting the truth. You earned what they abandoned. Every step you take reminds them of the ones they didn't. Every risk you accepted reminds them of the ones they avoided. Every victory you celebrate in silence reminds them of their fear of failure. You didn't do anything to them. You did something with yourself, and that alone is enough to shake their identity. So they watch, they refresh, they analyze. They tell themselves they're gathering inspiration, but they're really gathering courage. Courage to finally look in the mirror without flinching. You don't need to confront them. Their conscience already does. That's the power of your evolution. You don't threaten people, you awaken them. You became the evidence their potential has been begging to express. Some will use that feeling to grow, some will use it to resent. Both reactions are proof of your impact. You are not simply seen, you are felt, and the world, whether it admits it or not, is adjusting to your rise. Because this isn't a moment, it's a shift, a permanent shift. You changed position from observer to inspiration, from underestimated to undeniable. They are watching because transformation is rare. Authenticity is rare. Samanu, who rises without stepping on others, is rare. You are rare. And that rarity, it's priceless, so don't rush. Don't shrink, don't soften your shine to protect their comfort. Let them feel the glare. Let them confront the gap between who they are and who they could be, not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. Because one day soon, they'll stop watching you out of envy and start watching you for guidance. And when that day comes, you'll be exactly where you're meant to be. Ahead. Not because they failed, but because you refused to stop. You know what's funny? They think watching you is enough to keep up, as if observation alone could replace evolution. As if studying someone else's progress could somehow deposit progress into their own lives. They refresh your journey, hoping it will transfer into theirs. But growth doesn't work like that. Witnessing greatness doesn't grant it. It challenges you to earn your own. And that's the part that stings them the most, because deep down they know the truth. Every hour they spend monitoring your rise is an hour they're not climbing their own ladder. Meanwhile, your ladder keeps extending quietly, confidently, out of reach of those who only reach with their eyes. You didn't surpass them by stepping on anyone. You surpassed them by stepping forward. You didn't seek validation. You became validation. And that shift, that's what rewired the entire game. Now everywhere you go, whispers follow like shadows. People squint, trying to recalibrate the version of you that lives in their memory with the one standing right in front of them. The difference is so dramatic, they can't decide if they misjudged you, or if you simply outgrew their judgment. You didn't become someone new. You became the person you always were, when doubt finally moved out of your way. And now that they see it, they can't unsee it. Some avoid eye contact, overwhelmed by the reflection of their own choices. Some stare too long, hoping your confidence spills into their bloodstream. Some cling to the idea that you'll fall, that this rise is temporary, that the universe will return things to normal. But what they call normal was just the version of you that ignored yourself. That version is gone, buried under every decision that made you unstoppable. Your spirit became a standard. Your silence became boundary. Your consistency became prophecy. You don't have to explain a single thing because your results do all the speaking. Progress becomes the loudest voice in the room. Every barrier you broke, every moment you kept going when quitting would have been justified. They feel the weight of that now. Your resilience has gravity. It pulls attention, respect, curiosity, even from the ones who pretended not to notice. Especially from them, it's fascinating how the same people who overlooked you now search for a place beside you. They hope you'll forget who clapped late, but you don't hold grudges. You hold standards. Access is no longer a casual invitation. Your peace is too expensive for cheap intentions. You don't fear losing people anymore. You fear losing progress, because progress is what saved you. And now that you've tasted what growth feels like, you refuse to starve again. This new version of you doesn't chase opportunity. Opportunity chases alignment. Doors open before you knock. Paths clear the moment you decide. Not because luck favors you, but because discipline does. They watch, trying to pinpoint the moment you became undeniable. But there wasn't a moment. There was a collection of choices. Some painful, some lonely, all necessary. You traded comfort for evolution, noise for clarity, doubt for direction. And now, your evolution echoes. It echoes in people's insecurities. It echoes in their sudden desire to do better. It echoes in the way they adjust themselves when you speak. You are no longer the one who adapts. You are the one who influences adaptation. It's not power over others. It's power over self, and that self-power radiates. It makes others realize something they've been too afraid to admit. If you can rise, they have no excuse not to. You became the evidence, the proof that quiet work builds loud lives. So let them watch, let them wonder, let them whisper. Every pair of eyes tracking your movement is a pair of eyes learning what determination looks like. Every rumor repeated is testimony of relevance. Every doubt you destroy is a door someone else will walk through. You didn't rise to be admired. You rose to be free, and freedom, real, unapologetic freedom, will always be headline worthy. So keep going. Keep growing. Keep becoming the story they can't stop watching, because whether they cheer or choke on envy, they're witnessing something unforgettable. A person who refused to stay where they were placed, and chose instead to stand where they belong. And the world, whether it's ready or not, will adjust to you.